I first heard about Marla's work through a friend of mine. I was at a fetish party one time, and a friend of mine said, you know, you would look great in this Edward Scissorhand outfit that they had, and they thought that Marla would be great to take a photo. They said Marla Rutherford, so I went and checked her out on the website, and come to find out, she's brilliant.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I saw Eddie Steeples in My Name is Earl, and I thought he had a really interesting character because he's one of those guys in the show that you just completely, he's one of those mysterious characters that you just really want to be friends with. Snoop Dogg meets Lenny Kravitz look with the big hair. I mean, he's someone I would completely stop on the street and photograph. Taking pictures of taking pictures. Yes,
Okay.
This is the little office space that I do all my work in, or at least try to do most of my work in. This is where I answer the phone.
Nice.
This is the office.
This is the office
This is the
space.
big studio where I answer the phone. And these are a couple samples of the work.
And did you do this? You know, the painting, design?
Well, this was actually shot in a hotel outside of Los Angeles. I remember the bathroom being the coolest part of the entire room. All done in camera, though, so she's actually sitting right over here. And then I'm shooting her reflective in the mirror. This woman is named Eden Wells. She's
Okay.
been in the fetish industry for a really, really long time, and that outfit is probably about like $5,000.
This looks like almost like a Spanish-style wrestler superhero type thing.
That's what I'm going for. I'm going for the whole like superhero, but these girls are wearing these, you know, hardcore latex costumes because that's exactly what they kind of become when they put these outfits on. A lot of times I'll work with designers and tell them what my concept is and what kind of outfit I want.
Okay, yeah.
And then they'll either make it for me or they already have it in stock, and then they'll send it over to me, or the girls will bring it from Europe. All of these girls are like the top kind of like fetish girls in the whole, I guess, quote-unquote fetish industry, because not all women can put on these particular outfits and feel comfortable in them because they're very restraining. They can't really breathe very well. There's maybe like 7 girls that model that can actually wear really heavy rubber stuff where I can totally encase them in full-blown latex and they'll be okay with it. And they all vary with the type of extreme that they can do in terms of the outfits.
Right.
Like, Durenzia can actually handle this kind of outfit, but a lot of the girls can't put on hoods because it's really restraining, and actually some of them don't really like the feeling of it because it becomes very claustrophobic very quickly, especially if this is completely covered. They can't see and they can't hear. They lose their equilibrium. They don't know if they're standing up or if they're sitting down or where they are. They can't hear anything. They can't talk. And
Wow, okay.
so you really have to take care of them on the set. They become kind of like these little infants.
Did someone pass out on you, or?
No, but I've been on a shoot where there was a couple girls and I tried to put them in heavy rubber. Like I tried to convince them because a couple designers sent me some extra hoods. They totally freaked out. Like they had the hood on for maybe, I think 10 minutes and they're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like I can't breathe, it's getting too hot. Like they started getting really suffocating.
Right.
And the shot was gorgeous. Like I was so bummed. You know, you walk that thin line when you're a photographer and you really want the shot, but at the same time you want to make everyone comfortable.
Right.
So I was like, oh, shoot. Sometimes you can't get to know individuals unless you have an excuse to get to know them. And to me, the excuse is that I'm a photographer. So I'll approach individuals and, you know, you can't just like walk down the street with someone and be like, hey, I think you have a really cool look. Let's get to know each other. You want me to buy you a coffee? But you can be like, hey, I think you have a really cool look. I'm a photographer. Let's do a photo shoot. Now I can get into any group that I want to because I can use photography as an excuse to get in there. You know, I don't have to be cool. I don't have to wear the coolest outfit. I just have to be a good photographer, and I can get into all these different worlds and like feel totally safe and like accepted. Saw your show last night. Is it very natural to you to do that character?
It is now. you know, I'm kind of getting more into the rhythm of the character more. Before, I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, actually.
They gave you that character, or it just kind of like came out on you and then they said that was great?
Well, they told me that they wanted the character to be laid back and easygoing, kind of go with the flow, which is me a little bit, you know. So I guess that part was easy, but just getting the walk down, the mannerisms, and the speech pattern, that was, you know, took a little work. And I think I'm still working at it.
Because now you're known as like Crabman.
Yes.
And right before that, with the Office commercials, you were known as, what was that?
Struggling actor.
That was not it. It was
starving artist. No, Rubber Band Man.
Rubber Band Man. So you went from Rubber Band Man to Crabman.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting that these personas have been placed upon you, these certain characteristics that don't even have a name per se. They're like something man.
Next year it's the man.
It is. It's going to be the man. It's interesting when people put a persona on you that you feel either obligated to fulfill, or that is something that's either placed on you by other people, or that's something that somehow you bring out in yourself. But that's the problem with every art form.
Right. Once you get a name for anything you do, then it's easier to maneuver and, you know, and do other things. But, you know, for me right now, it's everyone wants me to be the guy that's high, because that's what they saw me in last. Before that, I used to do a lot of gangster roles and thugs, and that's all they wanted to see me for then was, you know, be mad, be angry, let me see the braids. I imagine you go through kind of that same thing with the, you know, with photography.
You definitely get pigeonholed, and it's really, really hard as an artist, as you know, to kind of deviate away from what people want to particularly establish you as, because that's what's comfortable for them. And that starts to carry on over into your personal life as well. I mean, I'm sure when people see you in reality, like, and then they're like, oh, yeah, you're Crabman, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure they take on that persona that you establish in that show. And when people meet me, I mean, I go on first dates, and it's like I bring the guy back home to my house just to have like coffee, and he's like, hey, like, where are the ropes and the latex, dude? As an artist, you have to somehow get involved to a certain extent so that your subject matter feels comfortable with you photographing them. But that doesn't exactly mean that that's going to be your entire existence in your world and you live and breathe that world. My whole concept with my photography in general was to light it commercially, but have the subject matter be very quote-unquote fine art and different. To try to bring this underbelly in this dark world, quote-unquote dark world of fetish, and bring it to the limelight and photographing it as if I'm shooting like a Nike campaign. And photograph these people who are into, you know, spanking, or who are into, you know, latex, or into asphyxiation, but photograph them in like a comedic, you know, commercial way.
Right. Well, what got you interested in it? I mean, was it something?
Because like fetish to me is just like so, just aesthetically, it's just amazing to look at. Halloween's like one of my favorite holidays. It's always has been. I'm really into people who wear costumes, and because to me, like when you go out on Halloween, that's like when people are always the friendliest, because they have this mask on, they have this layer. And I mean, almost every single Halloween I meet the boyfriend that I'm going to date for like the next 6 months, because he's willing to approach me because he's wearing this mask, I'm wearing a mask. There's only this kind of fantasy layer in between the two of us, meaning we're not us anymore. We're now a character. And I think when someone's a character, all of a sudden they can shed all the layers of who they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to act, and they can be whatever they want. And I'm really interested in that fantasy. I'm doing a lot of projects that get a little bit more into the fetish arena in terms of like the psychological aspects of it. A lot of darker projects where I go to the hotel rooms by myself, I go to these parties, I go alone, and I'm a young female, so I'm a little bit more approachable in terms of these people trusting me and like wanting me to photograph them. And a lot of times it's slightly dangerous, because it's like I don't have anyone with me, you know, I'm just this girl. I'm like, hey, can I bring you back to my hotel room? Can I photograph you?
Are you in costume when you do this?
No, I'm not really in costume. You do have to get involved to a certain extent, because it got to the point where people were like, hey, you're just photographing us. What is this being used for? Like, you know, are you a fetishist? Are you a rubberist? Are you a whatever that it is that I'm doing?
Okay, so when you say you gotta get involved a little bit, what do you...
Well, that's where the fine line starts to happen. I mean, look at Diane Arbus. She got so involved with her subject matter.
Oh, forget Diane. Let's talk about you. So
well, I look at Diane as like someone who I look up to because she was a female doing her own thing and photographing these people, but she ended up like sleeping with her subject. She ended up like getting so involved with this whole entire world and become completely consumed by it, you know. And so it is a very fine line as an artist when you start to enter these different arenas and you start to enter these different worlds and you put on this persona, as you will, like you put on this persona. And
just wearing like the mask, the glove, what?
Oh, one glove.
Yeah.
Like, every party I put on one more thing.
Exactly.
I'm down to the corset now. No, I'm at a stage I don't get too I don't talk about it too much because it's gotten these people to trust me and they've become my friends and I'm starting to understand their world. I mean, because these
one name like Schwarzenegger. Like, just one person.
No, but there have been times where there's certain people at these parties and it's like, it gets really surreal. You know, it's like some guy with like a zipper mask and like a zipper on his mouth, you know, telling me that his daughter went to Boston College, you know, and he's like wearing this total like crazy outfit. And it's just, I'm having these normal conversations with these people, but everyone's wearing these bizarre fetish costumes.
I feel like you're like the Justice League having like a, you know, a little meeting or something with just normal talking about regular things.
I mean, it's regular
talk. But you got Superman in the cape and people.
Yeah, and it's like some girls running around in latex and some guys running around with a butt plug or whatever, you know. And it's just like they're having like normal conversations.
So who, like Robert Downey Jr.? Like viewers want to know. Don't y'all want to know? Yeah, I want to know. I definitely didn't expect her to look, you know, the way she looked and have the energy that she has. She's very outgoing, friendly, down to earth type of person. You wouldn't think that, which then makes me think, like, what type of crazy shit are you into?
Makeup, fake eyelashes, lipstick, like feather headpieces, all that kind of stuff really started being implemented in my work later on because that's what my childhood was. My mother was a total pageant mom, you know. My sister won like Little Miss Colorado and I didn't win anything. But it's all good. So, yeah, my sister was like a total pageant sister, you know, and I always wanted to be in pageants, and I was in one, and I got like 3rd place, but it's fine, because there's only 3 girls in the pageant. I really wanted to be a Las Vegas showgirl. That was like what I wanted to do when I graduated from high school, and that was my main focus. And
okay, so that's a close range.
And those girls
Vegas
are dressed up.
Showgirl, fetish chicks.
Feathers, corsets, boobs popping out. It's all about exhibitionism, and it's all about character role. It's all about role playing. It's about everything.
Right.
It's showing yourself as a certain individual that people are going to appreciate because it's a theatrical performance. And that is what being a Las Vegas showgirl is all about. I mean, you're like this doll-like creature that strolls across the stage and you really don't talk, you don't say anything, you don't do anything, I mean, except for stand there. And I saw these characters running around this bondage convention that were wearing these like amazing costumes, and that brought me back to my dream of like wanting to be a Las Vegas showgirl. So, but it's all definitely connected. All of those things are very fine.
So what happened with the Vegas showgirl thing? What happened with that?
Because I have childbearing hips.
You what?
I have childbearing hips, which means I'm gonna have really healthy babies, but that also means that I can't. That also means I can't be a Las Vegas showgirl.
Did someone point this out to you, or at some point you looked in the mirror and you was like, you know what?
Well, a couple of my friends from the dance troupe became Las Vegas showgirls, and one of the girls told me, and she also told me.
She told you had childbearing hips and you couldn't.
Yeah, because they're very honest. Because I was gonna go out to Las Vegas and I was gonna stand in that whole line and do that whole thing and whatnot.
Y'all still friends?
Not that much anymore, but it's not because of that.
I know that's right. Cheers to that.
The reason why this work started becoming a little bit controversial is because I started juxtaposing the fetish images with images of children and images of normal people per se. And
with the fetish world?
Mm-hmm. Because I started to show that in the end we're all human beings and that all these worlds are actually, we're all connected because of the fact that we're all people. Right. But I wanted to photograph all these worlds in the same light no matter what the subject matter was. If that be you're a gang, if that be you're a convict, if that be you're a baby, if that be you're a rubberist, whatever it is that you are, I'm going to photograph you the same way and I'm going to make it funny.
Right.
And then I started juxtaposing these worlds together. So two of the images of which you'll see in the gallery show that we're about to go to is of this juxtaposition that I started doing while I was in school and why it started slowly becoming a little bit controversial. Because I started mixing these worlds together.
Wait, and this is at a school?
This is at a school. It's at the arts. It's at elementary school.
Are you serious? We got fetish at the elementary school. Oh man.
We're trying to expose.
Hold on, I can't do this interview.
We're trying to expose our children to these subject matter.
I can't do this. Hold on, we got.
No, it's at Art Center, which is where I graduated from.
That's the elementary.
Art Center College of Design.
Okay.
And the show is up there.
You scared me for a minute. I had to call my agent on that one, boy. Like, oh, you got me in elementary school with fetishes.
No, the show is up there, and that's where we're going, and that's where I graduated from like 3 years ago.
Okay, cool. So college.
So this is the Regeneration show. It's been traveling around for, I think, about 3 years now.
Okay.
I believe that this is the 4th place that it's been.
And how many artists do they have in this collection?
There's 50 photographers in the show. Out of about 450, 7 Americans got in.
Okay.
And this is
the number one American right here. It's beautiful.
Because this is Trinity Pinnacles. This is where they shot Planet of the Apes, Star Trek. It's about 5 hours outside of Los Angeles. It was like, you know.
It's in California.
It's in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
In case you thought this was like Planet 15 or something, this is LA.
I wanted it to be creepy. I wanted it to be like Stepford Wives. I wanted it to be like Edward Scissorhandy. I'm really kind of into like the apocalypse, and I'm kind of into like very desolate, minimalist environments. And the desert to me is one of like the most amazing like environments that I love to travel in, because it's just so dead but so beautiful at the same time and so alive. Look at this is great. I didn't notice that. You know what? I think I want this guy. Hey, can you guys get behind her? Yeah. Okay, Bianca's face forward and kind of like a very strong.
There's sweat running down the front. Hold on. You want to get that, Martin? It's like they worked already.
Yeah. Perfect. I want to have that kind of desolate, apocalyptic type of alien look, because these women are wearing these alien-like costumes, and so what better environment than to place them in these kind of planet Mars-like situations. Yeah, both of them went out of party. Oh yeah? Before my shoe. No drinks for today. They do look very dominatrixy, and they're big high heels, and they're 6'3", and you know they got this crazy stuff on. Yet they kind of move like geisha women, so the men still do ultimately have control, even though aesthetic-wise they look very dominating. It's all about body movement. It's all about kind of isolation, and it's also about the spectacle. This is what I spoke about earlier. This is the juxtaposition that I started talking about.
It's a relative or just someone you just ran up to on the street?
Well, this is my niece, but a lot of times I do shoot random kids, but it just happened this shot worked out to juxtapose with this shot. This is my niece, and I shot her first, and I did not originally plan to juxtapose her with anything. This was just a baby shot. Right. And then I shot this woman, who's actually a dominatrix, and somehow I convinced this woman to put on a submissive mask. And to try to convince a dominatrix to put on a submissive mask, I have to say, is like the hardest thing to do. So I shot her, and then when I was fooling around on the computer one night, I started realizing that both of these images are relatively similar to one another in terms of the innocence and in terms of the pink color and whatnot. So I started playing around with it, and then realized when you put them together, they're actually quite interesting. And then I started juxtaposing these two separate worlds, and that's how the whole series started to come about. And I've done a few other juxtapositions, you know, if the color palette's similar, if they're looking at one another, playing off each other, but it has to be playful, and it has to be innocent, it has to be comedic, and that was my whole idea, was to bring these two totally different worlds together and have them have a relationship with one another.
I noticed that about your art, is none of the dominatrix or any of the fetishes looks, you know, it's not violent, it's not, you know what I mean, it's not grotesque. It's done in a classy way, all of it, you know, which gives it a different perspective.
When I first did this, people really thought it was pretty twisted, and now it's actually become quite accepted, and that people actually really like the concept behind it, which is how I initially got into Regeneration in the first place. A lot of people submitted into this show, and a lot of people just submitted a bunch of beautiful images of landscapes, of fashion, and they really, really wanted some deep intellectual projects, because part of being a photographer is not only shooting beautiful images, but it's getting in the doors of like personal lives of people that most people can't get into.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing about being a photographer, is convincing people to trust you and to allow you into their worlds. And so all of these worlds that you see around here, this took a lot of time for these kids to like get involved with these projects.
Right.
And a lot of hard work, a lot of research, a lot of convincing, a lot of people trusting them, and that's what this whole show is about. What better way to get to know people and their problems and their personalities and their life as much as photography or film? Like, you can totally dive in there and skip all the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have the first date. You don't have to have anything. I mean, look at us. We totally got to know each other with the excuse as art, as filmmaking. I mean, otherwise I would have never met you. We would never be having this conversation or having one. I'm doing this whole series on convicts. I mean, would I ever otherwise like approach a convict in my entire life if I didn't have the excuse?
Okay, so you got fetishes and now you got convicts.
And I'm doing muscle women as well. I'm doing muscle women like when they're too old to compete. What do you do when you've focused on your body for 25 years every day at the gym in the mirror, and suddenly what you can't control is starting to fall out of your hands? And they're too small for competition and they're too big for society. So they're like in this kind of weird loopy phase where they don't know who they are anymore and they don't quite know what they're going to do with their lives. So a lot of them become dominatrixes, a lot of them become personal trainers, a lot of them become wrestlers because the wrestler body is very different from the muscle body. So those, to me, those women are the most interesting, because women take it a lot harsher sometimes than I think men do. Actually, men take it very harsh in that whole arena as well. But
I can imagine as a woman, it's got to be crazy.
It's really tough, and those women are really,
I mean, it's
really
like Mary
interesting
Lou
to me.
Retton after the Olympics. How did she feel? What's your audience?
What's my audience?
Yeah, with the fetish thing. What's your audience like? You know, what's the demographic? Hit us.
I wouldn't want to say like, you know, old perverts, but I mean.
Okay, so that's what it is. When you start something off, but I
old
wouldn't want to say.
Old sweaty men at my gallery shows. They're
Okay.
like, oh,
So if I
you
go to
wear
your
this
galleries,
stuff?
I got to deal with a bunch of
Are
old
you a
perverts.
fetishist?
Okay.
Are you friends with these girls? You know, to be honest with you, I didn't start this project thinking about my audience at all, and still to this day,
That's the best way to go about it.
still to this day, I don't really know who my audience is, and like the more and more I become kind of known for this type of work, the harder it is to kind of shoot this work, because it's like now when I do photographs of the fetish girls, I'm thinking in the back of my head, oh my God, is like so-and-so gonna buy this? Would anyone want to buy this? Is a gallery gonna be into? Is it too weird?
Isn't that weird?
And before, I was
You just
completely
did it.
like,
Yeah.
tabula rasa. Like I was like completely on a blank slate. It didn't matter. I shot when I wanted to shoot. I didn't even think I was gonna sell it. I got shit for it in school. I mean, it wasn't.
I think that's a natural thing with artists. I think, you know, when you're struggling, and I think it's probably with any profession, no matter what it is, you start off with this thing of just, it's from the heart, you just want to do it, you are interested in it.
Yeah.
Once you start to make money on it, then for some reason your mind
It
starts
gets in
to
your
go,
head.
yeah, it's like, well, what do other people, what are they interested in?
What do they want?
Yeah, where
Because
before
suddenly
it
you
was
have to
what
make a
you
living
wanted.
on it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know, the hobby becomes the occupation, and it becomes this dual thing of like, okay, and it's weird how you can lose yourself in that. As long as you're not making money on it, you're so true to yourself.
You're raw and you don't care, and you're yourself.
As soon as you get those checks rolling in, you're like, well, what do people want to see me do? And it's up. You should never, I feel, you should never, you know,
Succumb
give
to that.
into that. Succumb to it, but it's at the same time, it's
hard not to.
Yeah.
Once you really start relying on your art to make you money, your fine art, your really personal projects, it really starts kind of messing with your mind sometimes.
It does.
So I'll shoot for commercial people, I'll shoot for magazines, I'll shoot for out so I can support my personal work.
Do you still have that same, like, passion for the commercial stuff, or
Oh, totally. I mean, I love shooting people in general. Like shooting for ESPN magazine. Like I shot a bunch of like 18-year-old snowboarders. I mean, those kids are awesome.
Cool,
those
cool.
X Game athletes. Like they're the craziest kids on the block. I mean, they'll wear.
So you get to, you know, you travel basically.
And I travel,
you go places.
I traveled to Sweden and Canada, and I shot all these X Game athletes, and they're total nut jobs, you know. I mean, they show up in the set, they're totally stoned, eating donuts. They're like, you want me to do like 3 backflips and jump off this trampoline and hang in a tree? And it's like, yeah, do it, you know?
Yeah, breaking neck.
It's like, these kids are phenomenal. Like, they can do these amazing tricks. I mean, they're true superheroes in their little snowboarding outfits and their little, like, goggles, and they're just all, like, up in the air like this, and it's
like
totally...
Iceman, the Silver Surfer and
Totally. I mean, it's exactly like what my work...
Silver Surfer and ish.
I gotta watch my mouth. I've been...
What's Silver Superman-ish?
Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer? I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's this superhero. Speaking of which, your photography is much like superheroes. It's a superhero who's, you know, he skates around like Iceman, but he skates around, he flies around the city on the ice that like slides wherever he goes, and it's called
is he friends with
Silver
like
Surfer.
Batman and Spider-Man? Because I know those guys.
I mean, I'm not sure.
I don't know Silverfish.
Silver Surfer, baby. There's no silver fish in this joint. It's Silver Surfer.
Like silverfish, like they're like in a bathtub?
No. No, these are superheroes.
I'm like, that'd
baby.
be cool to make a silverfish into a super person. But, Silver Surfer.
So you can talk to people who got fetishes and they go silver fish and like.
Well, those things are kind of cool looking when you find them in the bathtub. But, okay, so
Yeah, I love when I find silver fish in my bathtub. It's amazing, you know. Good is that?
Everyone has their own particular fetish and what they like. Oh, here's my dad. Hi. Thank you.
What's your fetish? Talking about fetishes. So what's your meal? What you get? Netflix, what you got? What kind of movie?
Netflix, alright. Alright, I know what movie this is. Best movie, even though I haven't seen it, but everyone tells me to see this movie. Oh, never mind, this is 24, season 5.
24.
Okay. This is not the movie I thought it was. I'm actually very artsy.
Kiefer, you got a fan?
My photo insurance, and I'm sure a student loan is in here somewhere. Everyone wants me for memory. Not my body, and definitely not my mind, which is it's awful here in LA. But in Colorado, they won't. But not here in the Los Angeles area.
No comment.
Anyone have a gun? Or a bridge? Something.
What have you always wanted to do and you haven't had a chance to do yet? And I just blurted out, I want to build a wooden boat.